Hi Catherine, how are you? Thanks for joining us.
Good, thank you. I'm really excited to be here.
Jolly good. So for the listeners and the people watching on the YouTube, tell us a bit about what you do and what the services you provide.
Yeah, so I am a VA, which is basically like remote admin support for small business owners. So what I generally tend to provide is like a VA service, which is basically any back office support that I can offer to a business, so they haven't got to employ someone.
Yeah.
So being able to take, the majority of their admin, booking in new clients, dealing with, their customer journey when they've got somebody who joins as a client, right through to obviously, booking them dependent on the business, what that kind of service is. Answering their calls, helping them with their invoicing, basically anything that an administrator in a business that's employed could do, then we are able to support with. We also can do lots of different things as well, because I've got Lauren who works in my team. She's very customer focused, which obviously then gives us another ability to be able to offer an additional customer service side. She also is first aid qualified and trained, so we're actually launching this year a first aid training section. I'm also HR, so we also are able to offer HR services, recruitment, and all of that. So basically, we are kind of like a total back office support for a small business who just aren't at a stage to want to employ people at this stage.
Yeah. And I think one of those things that Charlie and I have found, and when we speak to other people as well, is when you're starting up a business, there are so many admin things to do.
Yeah. From
invoicing to following up on new leads, ordering bits and pieces, and the general day-to-day admin bits that you're out trying to get your business up and running. So to have someone like you to offer that support.
Exactly.
Is much needed, I think.
Yeah, and I think it's helpful because being able to say to somebody like myself, even just be able to take an hour a day out of their time doing that admin that they don't need to be doing, and it gives them an extra hour to go out and bring in new leads, which they wouldn't be able to do. So it's sometimes a bit of a catch-22, because you kind of think, well, I don't want to spend the money because I haven't necessarily got the money in the pot, but you're not going to get more money in the pot if you don't spend to be able to go out and bring in the clients. So it is it's a hard situation for any new business, because at the end of the day, it's also your baby, and you don't want to trust somebody else with doing some of although it's admin, it is also quite an important part of your business, and if it goes wrong, it can really go wrong. Do you know what I mean? So it's so important for a small business owner to have that support and to be able to then give them that free time to go out and grow.
It is, you're buying, so somebody employing you is buying their time back, aren't they, really, to focus on what they need to be doing, the more important things.
And work in their business and not on their business, and that's so important for a business owner.
Yeah. So how long have you been doing what you do? How did you get into it?
So I just hit my 5th year in my business. Previous to that, if I start back from right at the start,
not to when you were born, but
not quite that far.
Let's go forward a little bit.
We've got quite a few years to cover if we do that. So I'm from Somerset, and at 21 I moved to London, which obviously gave me this whole new life.
Bit of a difference, isn't it? Somerset to London.
Yes, and I lived in Yeovil. Don't know if you know Yeovil. Everybody knows Yeovil Town Football Club.
Yes,
huge supporter. So from Yeovil to like the big city was just huge, but it was the best thing I ever did, because it gave me such knowledge and experience out in the working world. I mean, it was amazing. I worked in financial banking for quite a long time, doing PA, office admin, all of that kind of thing. So it gave me such a huge knowledge on how businesses need to run. And then from there, I then worked out in Tenerife for a while, as you have to. Had to do the party scene, all of that.
Giving out leaflets.
Yeah, no, I was working in the clubs.
Oh, were you?
Yeah, I was in the clubs. I couldn't do the leaflets. I'm not a salesperson. Then I came back, and I was in quite a horrible relationship for a while, and I'm a domestic abuse survivor, so that kind of has given me another total kind of focus on why I do what I do now. I've realised that you have to challenge yourself in life, because if you don't, you just can't move forward. You can't, and doing things like my own business has given me that huge focus on where I need to go in life. And also had quite a hard struggle having my daughter. So all of these things, she came into my world, and I realised that actually I've got so much to be thankful for, and doing what I do now, excuse me, gives me a lot of focus and challenge in my life, and it's what I need. And it's just, I mean, probably 7 years ago, I would never have sat here in front of a camera and done this. No. Now, I mean, all right, might be like crapping myself a little bit, but
6 months ago I wouldn't have done this either.
But this is a massive challenge for me. But it's you know, so it's running a business.
Yeah.
And you have to do these things to move forward in life. So yeah, so that's kind of the reason why and where I am now is what's happened in the past has pushed me into where I am.
Yeah, and we hear that a lot. It's a common theme where there's been a traumatic experience or a negative experience has kind of pushed your path of fate or whatever it is and led you to where you are. You know, it's like, right, okay, well, let's change myself, see who I really am and what I'm capable of doing, and being able to do something I actually want to do. Exactly.
Gives me the flexibility to spend time with my daughter as well, which is something that back, you know, again, if I'm working full time, you don't get that chance to do.
You know, how old's your daughter?
4.
Good luck.
I know, running a business and a 4.5-year-old.
Oh gosh. Oh,
it's fun, but it works because I can have that flexibility around her, and that's what's important.
But also, you have to make it work. You have to find the time to, like, you know, work-life balance situation, and having a toddler running around does kind of throw a spanner in the works sometimes. Right?
It does. Bear in mind that this was also, I started this in COVID, so we had nowhere to go. Thankfully, your husband was furloughed for a little while, so
yeah.
But yeah, it was an interesting ride, but it's not a ride I wouldn't change. I would never change it for the world, for where I've got to today, from where I came from.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how have you, over those 4 years, how have you grown? I mean, you mentioned someone else in your team just now.
Yeah.
Are there others in your team as well, or is it just the two of you?
Just 2 of us at the moment, but we're both at capacity. So we are. I'm trying. My 2024 goal is to grow. The support we provide to the businesses that, you know, our clients are, it's just so valuable to them that I want other businesses to be able to get that same value, and to be able to obviously, you know, be able to grow their businesses, which they probably can't do right now if they haven't got that support. Yeah. And if they're not ready to employ, again, like I said just now, like, it's so crucial for them to be able to have something that, you know, is affordable and manageable for them. So my intention for 2024 is to grow the business, and obviously to then bring more people onto the team. But we've got such a range of things that we can support with. I think social media was one I didn't mention just now, but we do social media support as well. And I mean, if a small business needs all this back office support to help them grow, you know, we want to be there to support them. So I want to grow, they want to grow, and sort of basically we'll bring both our goals together.
Yeah, and I think, as you say, you capacity there, and what you don't ideally want to happen is you take on more clients, and it kind of dilutes that service you're giving to those clients because you're overstretched. So so that's why I want to bring more people onto my team, and it's very important to me that my clients get personal service. So for sure,
you know, I'm still involved in all of my clients, even though Lauren picks up some of them. And you know, obviously, if she's on holiday, she's always got. I always make it very important that I actually learn what each client's support, what we provide them, what that is, because if I don't know and then she's off sick, then that's not a good service I'm providing. So for me, it's very much the case of I need to know what all of my clients need. And then if Lauren's on holiday, she's off sick or whatever, I'm able to just jump in and pick up. And that, again, if you've got employees, you haven't got that option either necessarily in the business. Things just have to wait until someone comes back. So for me, again, that's really important that, you know, I'm able to be able to provide that for them as well. And that's another really good benefit of being able to use like a virtual sort of office support service.
So obviously you're based in Essex, but I'm guessing your customers aren't just Essex based, are they? They're, I'm guessing nationally and potentially abroad, maybe.
I don't have any abroad, although that's always something I'd love to look into. But yeah, so my clients generally are quite local, but I do have Yorkshire based. I did have an Oxford based client. Where else did I have? Quite a few actually around different places, but generally it's local, just because you tend to market generally more locally. But sure. Yeah, but technically I can work for anybody, doesn't matter where they are. Yeah,
and you can, I guess you've been virtual, you can work from anywhere as well, isn't it? I'm guessing you've got your office set up where you are.
But everything's on my computer.
Everything's on a computer, isn't it?
Exactly.
And with that, do you kind of utilise software platforms? And we spoke off camera about artificial intelligence and embracing technology as it comes along within your company.
Yeah. So AI. We were saying about this just now. Actually, it's absolutely amazing for what you can use it for to help produce things for clients. But yeah, I used a package called Zoho Suite. Right. And it's got so much in there. And obviously things like security is very important to me. So it's got a system in it where you can very securely save passwords for clients and things. So it's like a vault of all those passwords. So things like that is really important. But yeah, I mean, I use all sorts of different packages for whatever clients' needs are. Yeah. If I've never used them, I just work out how to use them.
Yeah, and I'm guessing your client base must be so diverse from builders, gardeners, and whatever else in between and around that, right?
Yeah, I love working with trades. There's such interesting industry. So a couple of my clients are garden designers. I've got fencing and landscaping, and electricians, and that kind of area, plumbers. But then on the other side of it, I have totally different. So it's really interesting having different industries because you learn so. I mean, I didn't know how to put a fence panel in, but I mean, all right, I'm sat in the office doing the office work, but I almost could go in and put a fence panel in now. So I do.
That's handy,
Not me. I'll give you my client's details. Yeah, I mean, I personally make it really important for me that I learn what my client does and what their business is, because otherwise, it's the same as, I suppose, if you go and employed by somebody, it's really important that you understand what your client does and what their business is, because otherwise, how can you support them to the best of your ability if you don't have that knowledge? Yeah. So yeah, it's really important.
And I guess if you're working with 3, 4, 5 electricians or brickies or whatever, then you can provide a bit more of a better streamlined service, because they're all individual people, but what they fundamentally do is the same, right? So that helps to improve your services that you're providing for these people and others in the future.
Yeah, and actually working, like you say, I mean, obviously we have very strict confidentiality in place as well. So obviously if I work for 2 or 3 different plumbers or electricians in the area, then obviously very, very important that, if we're working with their leads, we don't, pass out leads to one to the other and stuff like that. So we're very strict their confidentiality on that. But on the other side of it, I've actually also found that you do work for one of them and you realise there's a lot of value in some specific processes that they do which another one doesn't, and therefore you can introduce into their business, helping them to streamline some of their processes as well, which I'm actually very proud on that. I like to help businesses to streamline processes, make things simpler, introduce technology if it's important, because sometimes, particularly in obviously I know you're in construction, so you probably know in the trade industry a lot of it's in here and it's never all written down on paper. It's not actually in somewhere that's actually a usable point. So introducing a system like I use Tradeify for a couple of my clients, but it just totally streamlines that customer journey. Yeah. And therefore you've got everything from the initial inquiry all the way through to the quote, the invoice, the site visit booking, what their job entails, and you can book the whole lot into the system as a process. And actually, all my client needs to do is log on and actually see what the job information is. And if they haven't got that, it's very hard to then communicate that out to the workers. So little things like that are so important for businesses, moving away from that paper and pencil kind of process.
40 years ago, when we started out, just after the abacus got kind of kicked into touch with, and we started using pen and paper and a calculator. So you say you're into your 5th year. What have been what were the main challenges in taking that step and setting up your own business?
I think the main challenge is a lot of people think how easy it is to start a business, run a business and grow a business, and just knowing how to market, how to get out there. I mean, I do a lot of networking now. I go to 3 or 4 different networking groups, knowing to do all of that kind of thing, to actually, you can't just randomly post things on social media and think that people are going to see you. You have to be consistent. This is something I've learned really recently, is how important social media is in this day and age like now, and realising that, you can't expect, because I used to be on LinkedIn, for example, and I used to think, people are going to find me, it'll be fine. But
amongst
actually,
the 55 million people are on LinkedIn, right?
Exactly, and probably about 20 million of them are probably VAs and already selling to these people. So maybe not quite that number, but it's not just about just sitting down behind a desk and just thinking you can do the work. It is a challenge in itself. It's just about being able to grow your business, market your business, people to know who you are, people to trust you.
It's
trust
no like
is a huge
trust,
thing.
right? Like trust is like the 3 steps, isn't it?
Exactly, and trust is massive as well. When you're a small business owner, I mean, obviously, I know you own a business, and being able to trust somebody else with all that information, your clients' information, your systems, logging into your systems, banking, some of them obviously, all of that kind of thing, and knowing that you can trust someone to actually, one, do it as well as you would do it, but also two, that they're not going to take your information and do a runner. It's massive, and and I think that's another reason why it's hard when you're starting a business, is getting that trust, because I've only been around a year. How do I know I can trust you? So I think just being able to really spend time learning about your market, who you want, and being able to obviously understand what marketing and networking you need to do to grow it, because it's not easy.
How did you find that? I've done networking events and bits and pieces in a previous life. How did you find that, going in and talking into a room with 25, 30 people over breakfast and
crapping myself, if I'm honest.
It's not easy first time, is it?
No.
It takes a few to get used to it.
It's not. And it's, even now, I mean, I've been doing it now I've been doing it for 5 years, but I had a business years ago and I was doing it then as well. But even now, I'm not comfortable doing it. I still feel very nervous. I still feel like sitting there in a room thinking what people think of me. But you kind of have to just get there and do it. And the presentations, they're obviously, if you can stand up in a room and do a presentation and people clap at the end of it, you've done a good job.
Yeah. You're either glad you're finished or pleased with what you said.
Probably a bit of both.
Now you're finished, we can crack on with breakfast.
Exactly.
No, but I found it quite tough, and it's some of the ones I went to, you get like a 30-second stand up and say your piece.
Yeah.
And it's that 30 seconds of pressure, because you've got to say the right things that are engaging and interesting, and are people actually going to want to talk to you and find out more about you? It's it gets easier, obviously, but it's not easy to start off with, especially if you're not used to talking publicly, or if you're new to it, it's maybe it's a bit of a kind of imposter syndrome. Are people going to? Am I rightfully sitting here amongst other people?
Exactly.
And, it's excuse me, it's not easy at all.
No, and even if you're in a group with the most friendliest people, which obviously the ones I go to, they're all amazing. But
Well said.
well, they are. I can't lie. But you might have been going there for months, years, and everybody in the room, but you are still standing up. It's not one-to-one. You're still standing up in front of a room of people and telling people, what you do and who you are, probably for the 100th time, and they probably know everything about you, but you still have to do it, and it is very nerve-wracking. But you have to do it to grow your business, and that's the challenge I've had to accept.
And it's also being consistent in doing that, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's and again, it's one of those things that when you start a business, the whole marketing networking thing, it's one of those another thing that you have to implement into your week at some point. At 6:30 in the morning over breakfast, when you've got to, if you're working up late and doing admin or whatever else it is that you're doing, then getting up early and going to a breakfast meeting and having the balls to stand there and say this is me, and this is the confidence to do that. It's not easy.
No, but you have to do it. That's the challenge you have to set yourself if you want a business, I think. Otherwise, I don't think you're going to get out there. Yeah.
So, where we find ourselves at the moment in this kind of financial economic state we're in, do you see that causing any challenges to your business? Or what is what sort of challenges do you foresee as we grow and the country's in a state?
I mean, I think it is hard for businesses, and I do understand there's obviously a lot of financial pressure on businesses at the moment, particularly. But I think this is a perfect opportunity for maybe those small businesses to actually realise that taking on staff right now could be a bad move for them, because if they are in a financial state where they're not sure how they're going to be able to pay at the end of the month, or a wage, which obviously is a lot higher than what someone would have to pay would pay obviously what I'm doing, they then have to go through potentially a redundancy process. Well, I mean, obviously they could use my HR side and come to me for that. But
well done.
but on the other side of it, by using somebody like myself, there is, the cost is lower. There's no other sort of cost. You haven't got to pay national insurance or, all of these kind of employee associated costs, benefits, pensions, all that kind of thing. And then it is, the flexibility that I offer is also really valuable. So a small business, it might go through seasonal periods. So if they find that actually, June to April to June or April to September or something is their busy period, they could actually up and down their hours with me. So they could say, look, through June to September, I need you to be doing 10 hours a month or 10 hours a week or whatever. But through the rest of the year, ideally, I just need to know that you're there to kind of pick up maybe on like the most minimal sort of hours or something. But that is the ability that they have with me. As an employee, again, you either employ them on a 0-hour contract, which isn't always a great thing to necessarily do, or you have to guarantee the hours to somebody, and then that can cause problems. Yeah. So, using somebody like myself is just a great financial opportunity for a small business at the moment when there is just such, financial problems in the world. So it's an advantage. It could be an advantage for them.
It is, yeah. And I think, as I think since COVID, from when we've been speaking to people along the journey that Charlie and I have had to doing this, a lot of people kind of got ideas around COVID time, they're furloughed or made redundant and whatever. It's like, well, we've got a bit of a side hustle. And it was a challenge then. It's more of a challenge now, I think, with the way things are. It's tough for everyone. It is really tough. So, you said moving forward, you'd like to take on more people. Do you have in plan, we spoke to the business coaches and along the way, and it's having that business plan of your growth. So do you have a 3 to 5 year plan?
Yes and no, I do. It's probably not as in depth as it could be. but I'd like to double my turnover this year. That's my intention. So obviously I've got quite a good marketing plan on which 2 years ago I would never have had. Like I really started to put a lot more focus into the marketing and the sales and how I'm going to grow the business. But my ultimate goal is a 50% increase on turnover for last year. Yeah, which is quite high actually. So did
you wing it a bit for the first couple of years?
I did. Yeah,
and I think a lot of people do. Yeah, because you don't know. You don't know what you need to put in place. I don't think.
Yeah, and I think that is also another challenge that small business so if you're looking to start a business, you don't have the knowledge and understanding of what to do, what to put into place, how to set up business plan. Business plans aren't complicated, but they are if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, well, it's scary. It's a business plan. You think, oh God, what I've got to plan it out, and what goes into it, and you can research it, and you're inundated with so much information. You're overwhelmed. And you think, what do I do? Where do I actually start with this?
Yeah. So you do wing it, and it's not always a good thing to do because actually it could be your downfall ultimately in the end. But I think I sort of managed to pick up the information that I needed to be doing. What I needed to be doing at the right time, and that helped push me forward. I'm going into my 5th year now. I'm really grateful that I'm sort of 4.5 years in now, so I'm just about to hit my 5th year. But I'm grateful that I did because it's really pushed me forward, and I've seen a really good business growth because of it.
Yeah, so I think when you do have that plan in place, it gives you that bit of structure, and you can refer back to it. You can tweak it and change it.
And some focus as well.
Yes. You need that, don't you? Because very often when you start a business, you're doing 1,000,001 things. Yeah. You're 6 months down the line and you think, because something will crop up. Yeah. There'll be something that crops up and you think, I meant to make a note of that in a business plan. Or, refer back to business plan, that's where we should be, that's what we should be doing.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's tough. As I say, we find with everyone that we're speaking to and have spoken to, it's that initial setup and start out where you think, a great idea, I'm going to go and do X, Y, and Z. Yeah. All I've got to do is put a bit on social media and talk to my friends. Actually, we want to start up a shop. How do we do that? Yeah. What's about that? What about the rent? And what about hiring people? What about accounting? And what about all these other little bits and pieces?
You just
all of a sudden, this great idea with you're just sitting with a light bulb over your head, and then the light bulb just turns to a big black grey cloud, and you're sitting under thinking, crikey, what have I done?
Yeah, and it's either going to work or it's not going to work.
No.
Because you know at that point you either realise you've got to find a way to make it work, or you give up. And I think if you can find a way to make it work, then that's brilliant.
Yeah, and once you've found a way to get something working, you'll find a way to get the next issue overcome, and so on. Before you know it, you've got a bit of momentum.
Yep.
And you can feel a little bit more confident about yourself and what you are doing is the right thing. And
and I think one tip as well, if you're planning to start a business, is also to make a note of the goals. Because I think if you write down your goals, you're more likely to achieve them. That's something I've learned so much. And every time I challenge myself each month to how many new clients I want to bring on board, I always write it down. And I generally pretty much hit it, because I think I've written it down and I've seen what it is that I want.
Yeah.
And then I actually push myself to achieve it.
Yeah.
I think that's really important as well.
Because once it's written down, you know that having, let's say you want 10 more clients by the end of the month, you know what revenue that can bring in, and you know then how much quicker you can get to that next stage of your business. Right?
And it's accountability as well. If you're written it down, tell somebody.
Yeah.
That's your accountability.
Yeah, we told 2 people we was going to do a podcast, and and look at us now. It's all a bit of a fun and games, full fun and games. So, we've discussed what you do and the type of clients you can deal with. Is there any particular type of business or client that you don't yet deal with that you'd love to deal with? What would be that one magic client?
I don't really know. That's a very good question.
I've got easier questions if you want an easier one.
Do you know, it sounds really silly, but I have such an interest in some of these businesses I've started working with that I'd just love for more of those to come on board. I don't know if it's really hard. It might come to me in a minute and I'll go, oh, that one magic question. I don't know. That's a really good question though. Can I message you that one afterwards?
You can come back to it. Yeah, we'll edit it in. Yeah, we'll edit this bit out and then we'll put you back in. We'll voice over
I'll
something.
voice note you.
We'll just cut it in. We're like, cut, edit. This is what I think it is. It's going to be a footballer or something else along those lines.
I'd love to work with a footballer.
Yeovil Town.
Yeah.
So, before we wrap things up, we always ask, is there one specific tip or a bit of advice that you would want to give to potentially new business or someone thinking of starting up a business, in setting themselves up?
Yeah, I think the things we've sort of already been talking about, I think are really important if you're going to start a business, is obviously to really market, network, and also to work out what your target market is and what competition you've already got out there. Because I think otherwise, VAs are becoming quite a saturated market. I've noticed there's a lot of them popping up all over the place. But I've noticed obviously a lot of them disappearing as well, because I don't think they're coming in with they might not have the right knowledge and experience behind them to really push forward their business, but also they're not doing the right stuff to keep up. So I think that's really, really important. And I also think as well, like I said just now, accountability, challenge yourself, make sure you write down your goals, business plan, marketing plan, work out your strategy, because if you haven't got all of those things in place, you've got no focus and no sort of real sort of thing to work towards. I think that's really important. Yeah,
one thing you mentioned there about knowing your market, I think that is super important, because you have a product or a service and it might be so niche that just putting stuff out on social media and marketing, whatever it is, you're not identifying who it actually is, the demographic of who your ideal client would be. You're going to get someone on the periphery of that and outside that, but who you actually want to target. And I think it's worth spending 3 months, 6 months researching, as you say, other competition. Actually working out what your niche is that you're going to provide, and again your demographics and your target audience and target market, and using that 6 months to do that research rather than going, right, okay, let's just jump into it, this is what we're going to do, and that time gives you to put your business plan in place, etc.
I always struggle a little bit with the ideal client sort of scenario, because I'm always like, but I want to work with any small business that needs me, but I love working with the trades industries, I really do, and that is definitely one of them that I think one of the things, and one of my clients, obviously being in trades industry, sort of really made me realise this when I started working with him, and I started to realise that actually they need so much help, particularly if they're a one-man band, because the amount of them that are coming, they're getting up at stupid o'clock, they might be going to a business networking meeting because, that's obviously how they're trying to grow and market their business. They're then going out and doing their day job, which is obviously probably, putting a fence up or, doing an extension or whatever it is that they're doing. And then they're coming home and sitting all evening or all weekend doing all the admin to actually, keep themselves going and making sure they follow up on the leads. And, one of the things I often find with my clients is like the potential customers come back and say, thank you so much for coming back to me so quickly. And I think because so many of them just don't have the time, so it's either going to be by the time they're messaging back, it's like 8 o'clock at night, or they're not doing it for 2 or 3 days because they physically haven't had the time to sit down and do it. Yeah. So having somebody like myself, again, it's really hard for someone to make that call, but the return on investment that they're going to get from it is actually going to be massive because the leads are going to be converted much better for them. Yeah. So, I think, again, I say my ideal market, I find it really hard, but I definitely feel like what I can provide to the trade industry is massive, and I wish more could see it.
Yeah, for sure. That's good. It's good that you you have that kind of fulfillment and that enjoyment about dealing with these clients, and as you say, you're understanding their business and what they're actually providing. So you're learning, and you've given that solid structure and support to them and that knowledge. Okay, brilliant. So before we do finally wrap this up, do you want to tell people what your website is and how they can contact you on socials or whatever? So
my website is www.office-boss.co.uk. Trying to say it slowly so that
office-boss.co.uk.
Yep, that's it. And my Instagram is Office Boss as well, so you can search for that one. And my Facebook and that, I'm in a because I've just rebranded, so I'm in a transition at the moment. But if they can find me on either of those two, email would be Catherine, which is KATHRYN at office-boss.co.uk.
Yeah, okay. All this information will go on the links when we post it on the socials, etc. as well. Yep. Catherine, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you guys again soon. Thanks very much.